#1 job site in the world because Indeed gets you the best people fast. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need. You can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. Plus, Indeed provides powerful tools to make your search that much easier. With 73% of online job seekers visiting Indeed each month, Indeed is going to get you the important hire you need, just like they have for over 3 million businesses. Right now, Indeed is offering our listeners a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Try Indeed out with a free $75 credit at Indeed.com/Fox. This is their best offer available anywhere. Go right now to Indeed.com/Fox. Terms and conditions apply. Offer valid through September 30th.
He's not interested in being a political tool. National Intelligence Director John Radcliffe on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo saying China is the real threat, more so than Russia.
I don't mean to minimize Russia. They are a serious national security threat, but day in, day out, the threats that we face from China are significantly greater. And I think that's clear, and anyone that sees intelligence knows that, and anyone who says otherwise is just politicizing intelligence for their own narrative.
2 months ago, Russia reportedly offered bounties on U.S. troops in Afghanistan. President Trump says he was not made aware of the situation. The president visits Louisiana after Hurricane Laura. Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures. Again with Maria Bartiromo.
I wanted him to see it firsthand, what we're up against. This is going to be a multi-year recovery. Now, we'll recover. The people of Louisiana we're tough as a boot. But I don't want anybody to think, well, this is just, rake a few leaves and we're back to normal. This is going to take a while.
Hurricane Laura is blamed for 14 deaths in Louisiana and Texas. A Major League Soccer franchise is up for sale following allegations of racist comments by the owner.
Major League Soccer Commissioner Don Garber released a statement Sunday morning saying that Real Salt Lake owner Deloy Hansen will begin the process of selling his Utah Soccer Holdings Company, which owns the team. The move comes after Hansen landed in hot water this week for insensitive comments following the player's decision not to play Wednesday night's games in the wake of the shooting of Jacob Blake. Hansen apologized for those remarks, but allegations of previous racist and insensitive remarks from former members of the organization followed late in the week. Hansen's Utah Soccer Holdings owns Real Salt Lake, the NWSL's Utah Royals FC, and the USL's Utah Monarchs. Ryan Mayer, Fox News.
I'm Ann Carrick, and this is Fox News.
America's
flash flood warning is in effect, and authorities are asking people to stay indoors and avoid the roads.
We are urging everyone to seek shelter. Remember, being carried away by this storm is very different from the joy of being carried by Bogdan and seeing for miles from his shoulders.
The typhoon is predicted to hit the South Carolina coast the hardest. Chad Williams is live on the scene now. The wind looks pretty strong out there, Chad.
Barely, but it is nothing compared to Bogdan.
So people in South Carolina aren't worried?
No, they laugh at the storm. They are piling sandbags to stop the water. Would mere sand stop Bogdan?
But there is real danger. Authorities say that 3 people were killed outside of Charleston when their car was washed into a ravine.
And in that we have proof. The storm has failed the true test of strength. Bogdan's greatest power is his gentle heart. Bogdan would never hurl a car full of people into a ravine.
So from what you're seeing out there, real strength lies within?
Yes. This storm, like all else, is weaker than Bogdan.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
That's right, it is Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. That's what we do on Free Talk Live. That's why we call it Free Talk Live. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. It's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
855-450-3733. So, I got a report here from Gateway Pundit at thegatewaypundit.com, written by a Joe, looks like Hoft, Joe Hoft. So, I'm kind of curious as to everybody's interpretation of these numbers. Obviously, COVID-19 infections have become a political football. Okay? And
what? Something's become a political football?
I think everything has, but this is quite the political football, meaning that each team is attempting to use the crisis to benefit themselves in whatever way, or at least, to be right, or to at the very least not be wrong.
And one of the weird things I've seen in this is, as much as there is a very distinct divide in mask wearing, especially among left versus right.
Yes,
I have not seen that in the party leadership.
Right, they're gonna they're looking like they're doing the job, either wearing the masks and all those sorts of things.
Oh yeah, even Trump came out. Well, they're saying that it's patriotic to wear a mask, and I'm the most patriotic person there is. So when I can't social distance, I wear the mask.
They told me that I could take more pictures if I wore a mask.
Yeah,
that's probably more likely.
Perhaps that's the answer. I don't know, but now so there have been reports out where the people are parsing the numbers on COVID-19 deaths. So how many deaths have there been, due to COVID-19? If you listen to the mainstream media, you're going to hear the number 170,000 kicked around. And, okay, there's 170,000 where the hospital or medical organization put COVID-19 as a, factor, as a COVID-19 related death, as they call it. And I hear they get more money for writing that down on the report than they would for other things. And
even more if they were on a respirator at the time.
Yeah. If you incentivize behavior, expect more of it. So
you will get more of whatever you pay for.
Right. At the same time, there are people saying, according to this report from Gateway Pundit, I'll just get right in here and read it. The Gateway Pundit reported that the coronavirus fatality rate reported by the liberal mainstream media, by the way, this is a biased site, was completely inaccurate, and the actual rate was more like the typical flu season. The media was lying again.
But even that rate is still 1/100% of people died from COVID.
I think theirs was 1/300th, was what the media is reporting. Anyway, the numbers have ranged anywhere from 5% of people who get COVID die.
No, but 170,000 people is 1/100th of the population. 1/100% of the population.
I know it's not very big, but what they're saying is people who get the case between 0.1% and 5%, which is a huge disparity in numbers. And as we get farther, the numbers tend to settle down a little bit because at first it was like, this is deadly, you're gonna die, which is obviously not true.
And I can definitely see why they would want to say, no, it's not 99.9% non-lethal, it's 99.5% non-lethal.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Today, we now have the empirical evidence that the WHO, Dr. Fauci, and Dr. Birx were all wrong. They're charlatans. They lied. The CDC suddenly updated their numbers this week to show that only 6% of all corona deaths were related to the coronavirus alone. The rest of the deaths pinned to the China coronavirus, I just love throwing this China thing in here, are attributed to individuals who had other serious issues going on. Also, most of the deaths were related to very old Americans. So I went and looked this up. I wanted to look at this link, and in fact, on the CDC's website, here under comorbidities, Table 3, I looked at Table 3. Table 3 is boring. Shows the types of health conditions and contributing cases mentioned in conjunction with deaths involving coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19. For 6% of the deaths, COVID-19 was the only cause mentioned. For deaths with conditions or causes in addition to COVID-19, on average, there were 2.6 additional conditions or causes per death. The number of deaths with each condition or cause is shown for all deaths by age groups for data on comorbidities. So I guess the question that I have with seeing these numbers is, Is it fair to report a coronavirus death as being a coronavirus death if there are other comorbidities related to the coronavirus death? So, like we have to call the death related to something. They used to just sort of say, malaise or the vapors or whatever it is, But now we have to have a reason.
Can you believe that we used to live in a world where people died of old age?
Right, old age. And in a lot of cases, that's what these people did too, by the way. They did die of old age. The average age of death is 78 in the United States, and the median age of death for coronavirus is now, as I understand it, moved down from 80 to 78. But previously, coronavirus deaths were actually pulling up the average.
So only wiping out the lucky.
Well, once you kill everybody who's already above
that's right
borrowed time, then all you have left is the average age of death.
And you'll note that the deaths and the even there's cases on the rise in certain location, but deaths aren't in the rise very much at all. I've been watching these numbers on a nationwide and certain states been keeping an eye on. Just saw a map today that, basically it looks like the northern Midwest, maybe even mountain states are sort of seeing stuff. But those are pretty sparsely populated areas. So when they say cases on the rise in those areas, somehow I'm not terribly concerned. I don't think things will be too bad.
And one of the strange things about this, because I do believe that a novel coronavirus does exist. It's SARS-CoV-2. But if you look at the people that are dying from this, I mean, it's the same people that, like, if you were going to have a fake disease, this is who I would pick. Like, it seems that it's only killing people who were expected to die.
Right. If the government was going to create a disease, and I'm not claiming that the government created this, and I don't know which government we would be talking about, I don't know. But if you were to create a disease to sort of manage human livestock, the ones you would want to get rid of are the ones that aren't working. They are not productive.
You seem to be a tax negative.
Right. And, there you go. You piece together what you wish from that particular statement. That's what I would imagine. So basically, according to these numbers, about somewhere between 9,000 and 10,000 people. We'll call it 9,000 people for the sake of radio, but there's other numbers that come behind 9. More than 9,000, less than 10,000 people have died as a result of COVID-19 only, according to these numbers. And the other people who have died, on average, had 2.9, which means that some had like 5 and 6 comorbidities.
And is that even still counting extreme age as a comorbidity? Because I think it should.
I don't
Probably.
think it doesn't. It counts age. No, extreme age I don't think is counted as a comorbidity. In fact, they're broken out by age groups. So when you're talking about these comorbidities, you're talking about things like diabetes, obesity, you pick high blood pressure.
And I, for one, would still like an official answer to why is this not killing any children?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it just...
Like, have we found a secret immunity in children? Can we exploit that?
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live. News from news.bitcoin.com. U.S. Postal Service files a patent for new blockchain voting method. Warren Buffett changes his opinion on gold. Maybe Bitcoin's billion-dollar Acon cryptocurrency city. Former Prudential CEO says now's the time to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is for getting started with cryptocurrencies. Getting a wallet, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Subscribe to Bitcoin.com's YouTube channel, too. Investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Want to accept Bitcoin at at your online store, there's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
Clark County paramedics responded to a frantic 911 call from a nearby motel this morning, where the Lord our God, divine creator and ruler of the universe, had been found nude and unconscious following his latest suicide attempt. God, who sources say had recently grown far more depressed and withdrawn from humanity than usual, reportedly attempted to hang himself from the base of his motel showerhead after ingesting an unknown quantity of Ambien. Motel sources claim that God's room had been left in a state of disarray, and revealed that they had found a brief note written by the omnipotent deity, saying that the suicide stems from long periods of unhappiness he had been suffering in recent millennia, including the death of his only child, thousands of years of war and genocide, chronic weight gain, and the aftermath of his messy 15,088 BC divorce. Paramedics say the Supreme Being had no pulse when they arrived. The Lord's overdose comes in the wake of several widely publicized previous suicide attempts, including a 1985 incident when the Lord leapt from the Grand Canyon but changed into a bird at the last second and flew to safety.
This is the Onion News Network.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. Brought up this article here about COVID-19 deaths, and apparently only 6% of them are actually just COVID-19, that there's all kinds of other...
And of those 6%, it's not really just COVID-19.
No, it's the 6% is just COVID-19. The stuff I was reading to you was the other 90.
Right, but if you're 98 and you die of COVID, you died of being 98.
I see. So you're talking about that the age is
not one of their categories.
Yes. Just advanced age does not seem to be a category here, so that could be affected. By the way, it's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
And I see what you're saying, but that is kind of a tricky subject of like, where exactly do you draw the line for advanced age?
It does matter for each individual. Some people are old at 65. Some people aren't old until 85. Just as the internet is a global network that connects local networks, Intercoin is a global currency platform that enables communities around the world to issue and manage their own currency to circulate among their local population. Intercoin enables fintech innovation on the local community level, leading to stronger communities, greater sustainability, less poverty, and more productivity. Intercoin is a
attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space. And we think that's important here on Free Talk Live. So important that FTL accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Incorporated for advertising. If you think freedom's important too, check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. That's with an I, I-N-T-E-R, intercoin.org. You can invest in this project and potentially make big gains, or just be involved and perhaps shape its future. Intercoin.org. That's with an I, intercoin.org. So, yeah, let's just go to the phones here. Derek J. Freeman is on the line. Derek J.
Hi, guys. There was a protest in Portsmouth, New Hampshire against a mask mandate. It's coming shortly. It'll be voted on tomorrow, and it looks like it's going to pass. So the city council... Yeah, in the state of New Hampshire. It's
is that a state mandate or a Portsmouth mandate?
It's a Portsmouth mandate, and New Hampshire is not a home rule state. So there are legal challenges already being presented, being threatened. If the ordinance were to pass, there's an organization that has formed called the Liberty Defense Fund of New Hampshire, and their goal is to let New Hampshire be the place where these mask mandates stop. So they're going to bring in expert witnesses from around the country and the world to bring science into the courtroom and really put a stop to this power grab by politicians who are not actually helping people. They're not improving the health of anyone. They're just limiting people's freedom and getting them comfortable with the idea that they are to submit to arbitrary mandates by arbitrary authorities.
Yeah, I am disturbed at the notion that somehow politicians, those the best among us, are going to be able to look at whatever's presented to them. They're not scientists. And I don't know. I hear doctors and scientists saying masks are not useful. I hear doctors and scientists saying masks are useful. I see statistics that say that masks are useful. I see statistics that say that masks are not useful. And I don't know. And I know the only thing I know about masks is my nose itches. And that's all I need to know. Right?
Well,
I'm a talk show host.
Aren't you grateful that you have someone to tell you what to think about these things?
Right. And that's what's frustrating here is if I'm going to get told by people who are, people about this, I would like those people to be people educated in the field that we're talking about. And I don't mean epidemiologists because they're just sort of one little aspect of this. I want to know, in fact, do the masks make a difference? How long do they make a difference for? Because a mask isn't magic. If we're talking about stuff being in the air and, you're on an air flight for, let's say, 15 hours going to Tokyo. I've done this before. It's far. Well, I mean, is it really going to make a difference if you've got a plane full of COVID patients sitting with masks on in an enclosed, vacuum-sealed tube? Will it make a difference? Well, I can tell you this. I haven't seen any news stories from people catching the COVIDs on airplanes, so I don't know. I don't understand. I don't have anything to say here, but I suspect whatever these city council people, when they're trying to get me to wear a mask while I sit outdoors at a picnic table enjoying a Dr. Pepper, that they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, I think they mean well, and I truly believe that they're trying to do the right thing, but I think that they're making a big mistake. Most people are not aware of how fragile freedoms are, and once you give them up, it's rare that they come back. So I am afraid, whether masks work or they don't work, a lot of people who were at the protest in Portsmouth said they do wear masks, and they think it makes sense, but they are opposed to a mandate. Because a loss of freedoms, once lost, are hard to get back. And people become comfortable and complacent with the idea that politicians can boss them around and tell them what to do. And then the enforcement is really left up to the business owners. It's not that police are going around ticketing people. It's that the business owners are threatened with a revocation of their license to operate, to feed their families, to live the life they choose if they don't punish their customers.
Right.
It's wrong.
And the thing is that, I mean, when you turn these business owners into unpaid law enforcers and threaten their licenses that they probably shouldn't have had to have in the first place. You shouldn't have to have a license to do business. I mean, that should be a human right. Trading is a human right. But when you do this, I mean, okay, so now they have to figure out sort of the letter of the law. When you walk into a restaurant, does it make sense to walk into a restaurant with a mask on, sit down at the table, take your mask off? And then when you get up to use the bathroom, put the mask on. This is weird. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't seem like they work. I was at a restaurant earlier today, and the protocol is so you order at the window, and you're supposed to wear a mask while you're ordering. And then you walk 6 feet over to where you sit, and you can take your mask off. But it was unclear to some of the customers, like, okay, are we allowed to take them off? Or do we have to leave them on until the food is served? And there were some like young people, teenagers. One was leaving it on, and they were sort of talking, having an argument about, I think I have to keep it on. And I was looking at his mask, and it looked like so pathetically, like made of linen, like the kind of fabric that you would use to, it's a really hot day. I really want to be able to have my body breathe. And it's like anything could get through that. It just doesn't make any sense. What?
Yeah, I got to say I'm kind of ambivalent on the timing with this, because on the one hand, I'm glad that they're having these protests before the vote. On the other hand, it's like, yeah, welcome to the party, guys. Where have you been? Because we've established this compliance culture now, and now it's an uphill battle.
Indeed.
Yeah, so the Liberty Defense Fund of New Hampshire, if people around the country want to stop this thing, look into supporting that fund, because that's where the battle is going to be happening, is here in New Hampshire.
Liberty Defense Fund of New Hampshire?
Yes. Help Freedom NH.
Thank you. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret Shaving Oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and
the best
I
of my
developed
knowledge,
Shave
Secret
and pioneered its use starting back in
We've done everything
1991.
there is to do
Ingrown hairs drove me
if you
nuts
can get a
for
hold of a
years.
salesperson,
Shaving
you might have
oil
never
changed
spoken to
all that. Why put up with ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts?
I will do
Shave
more,
Secret
but I don't
provides
know what else
men
to
and
do.
women
Yeah,
with
I got
what
your
we
email
believe
after I
is
already
the
sent
best
the
shave
schedule,
ever.
'cause
Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Do you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV? Now you can easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. Just visit AnyPayInc.com and set up your account by entering your cryptocurrency wallet addresses in the admin. Then enable the AnyPay plugin in your WooCommerce. That's it. Now your website takes crypto like Bitcoin thanks to AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
Do you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV? Now you can easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. It only takes a moment. Just visit AnyPayInc.com and set up your account by entering your crypto wallet addresses in the admin. Then enable the AnyPay plugin in your WooCommerce. That's it. Now your website takes cryptocurrency thanks to AnyPayInc.com. AnyPay, INC.com. AnyPayInc.com. Let's go to the phones. On the Discord chat, you can hear this. It is Mortified Penguin. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, I wanted to talk about something. I was inspired by something I read online, and it's kind of a theory. So we know that a lot of people come to, a lot of your audience, especially a lot of people listening, come to libertarianism, and they come to it from the right, from a kind of conservative viewpoint, and the views kind of mesh. But a lot of people are real principled libertarians that come from the right, and I have no idea how prevalent this is, but one theory is that conservatives kind of have a certain understanding of like power and authority that I don't think that your so-called liberal Democrat progressives have. They are frank, that they understand the need to control the seats of power, that authority comes from violence, that laws are all ultimately backed by violence. And
who's Frank? Who you're considering to be Frank? The conservative. You use the pronoun they, and that gets a little confusing. So who's frankly understands power and violence?
The conservatives. They do understand that the power of laws and authority ultimately comes from violence, and I think that is a path to kind of come to a realization for some people, and to come to liberty. So, I mean, I don't see how your liberal Democrat progressive, who has a lot of pretense about what government is and how government policy is really the consensus building and the will of the people, I don't see how you have the same pathway there. They might be some, but it's not as simple.
Well, I would say this is when you're talking to liberals, it's much more difficult to sort of show them the gun, as it were, to point out that these laws are backed up by violence. Well, this is what the community wants. That's not how I want this to work.
We write it into law because it's polite to do things that way. And people will do this because it's polite to do them that way. Not because we'll put you in jail if you don't.
Right.
I mean, we will. But that's not why people are doing it. It's just the community standards have been codified.
You have to jam it home because they find it unpalatable, the notion that every law is a death sentence if you choose not to obey it
or pay for it.
Yeah, I agree. I like I said, I think you could easily come to libertarianism from libertarian-esque views, libertarian views, and broader speaking, from the left, from the actual left, but from the liberal Democrat point of view. I mean, really, those are the real centrist, center-left kind of people that really think government really is the solution, and just have so many layers between, like you said, the gun in the room.
Well, when somebody's sort of centrist, whether they're center right or center left, and what I mean by that is that they're that they listen to the politicians, because the politicians are pretty center right, center left out there. You might have the Bernie bros who are sort of more lefty, but those people, the center left sort of people, have already swallowed the Kool-Aid, right? They've taken the bait, hook, line, and sinker. They've swallowed the whole thing. There's no convincing them of anything, because their minds are so enmeshed in whatever the system is that they couldn't believe for a second that that this country is run by oligarchs, even though you can show them the studies.
Well, unless you concede that those oligarchs are in corporations, then they have no trouble swallowing it.
Well, no. The people in the center, look, the Democratic Party, like the Republican Party, is funded by banks and corporations. So if you expect those organizations to somehow save you from banks and corporations, you are a fool of the highest order. You're just stupid. If you think Joe Biden is going to do something about all these problems as they exist, you're an idiot. Now, I don't believe for a second that Trump really is going to drain the swamp either. But you pick whatever makes you happy.
Well, I would say that as far as the left goes, right now, libertarianism is more attractive than it's ever been as far as the centrists go, because they have just pushed the goalpost more and more to the left, where what were extreme views just a few years ago are not extreme enough of views today. I mean, if you acknowledge that there are two base genders, that is not something that is acceptable. If you are concerned that the trans movement is shouting out the accomplishments of the gay rights movement, that's not far enough to the left.
If you think that a politician should write a law that helps to find justice for Breonna Taylor, and then you almost attack that politician and their family, many of these people are nuts.
Right. So a lot of the center left people have been really left behind by the rest of their party. So of those that are inclined to be against authoritarian regimes, and I'm talking about the anti-war Democrats, the anti-drug war Democrats, because they do exist in the constituency, not in the party. Not in the party leadership, that is. But for those people, I would say that libertarianism is more attractive now than it's ever been.
I would hard disagree on that personally. I think I would hard disagree on that. I mean, the centrist element, the statist Joe Biden conservative element of the Democrats are totally in control. That's why they got their nominee pushed through. The progressives are really on the fringe.
Well,
none of the population is in control. Jerome Powell is in control.
Also, Bernie Sanders was getting 40%. It's that the centrists were fighting with each other for the other 60. Once they, got agreements together, what appears to be agreements, it appears that Barack Obama picked up the phone and told everybody to get in line, and they did. And then Biden began to win. But before that, he was an also-ran. He was going to be, wiped out.
And the reason you have this alternately described as a conservative or centrist candidate, and they've been pretty blatant about this, is that the DNC considers the entire left like theirs. They are locked down, so we don't have to give them anything that they want.
You can't even get them to show up. You got to bribe them just to go to the polls.
Yeah, that is the question: is will they show up to the polls? But the Democratic Party has been pretty upfront about the fact that they assume everyone that's on the relatively far left is going to vote for them. So they don't cater to any of their desires, because why would they? The left hasn't, the far left hasn't really said, hey, we demand X, Y, and Z, or we will just stay home that day.
Yeah, the problem is that really the majority of people out there, or a large number of people, and this tells you how messed up our system is, vote defensively. And when you have that, unfortunately, that's how the system's set up. It promotes where a system can be so bad where most people are just voting against the other guy, and that's enough, even if they can't stand the person.
The way we should set up elections is using the survivor voting method, where you just vote off the guy you hate. And there's people who try to do this all at once, or try to do the reverse all at once, and that doesn't work for reasons that should be obvious. But
so would that be like where you have all of the primary candidates at once and just do sort of a ranking voting system?
No, that's ranking voting, and ranking voting is dumb. You would have to have multiple elections.
It's better than what we got.
Yeah, that is the problem with our first past the post system. Is it makes a two-party reign completely mathematically inevitable.
It does do that. Mortified Penguin, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. The number 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Or you can use the Discord lines and sound as good as Mortified Penguin just did at discord.freetalklive.com.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have two convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live listen line, 641-793-0191.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. That's what we do on Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
Check out our archives. We have archives at freetalklive.com. It's archives.freetalklive.com. Going back for like a long time, more than a decade. Go check it out. I mean, the show's been on for going on 18 years at this point. I'm not sure you can find every single episode. There's some lost episodes from way back. But nonetheless, you can go download everything for free because that's what we do here on Free Talk Live. It's archives.freetalklive.com. Let's go to Jacob calling in from Montreal. Jacob, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, hello and good evening.
Good evening to you.
I want to share with you some rather amazing insight from a video I saw recently regarding the arrest of George Floyd.
All right.
Yes, it's a fellow named Stephen Crowder.
I'm familiar with him, yep.
Yeah, Stephen Crowder and company. So his video is about a little more than 26 minutes long, and he looks at the body cam footage from the police officers, which is something that you all have to see, because the video that got us all incensed and ready to lynch these police was taken by a third-party person coming into the situation rather late in the game when Floyd was already on the ground about to be transported by a paddy wagon, I guess. I don't know. But for the 30 or so minutes before that, you have to see what goes on. Crowder says at approximately the 14-minute mark that context is extremely important. You know, like in business, in real estate, you know, location. Well, in this case, context. Because it shows later on at the 25-minute mark, when the police are, already are exasperated with what they tried to do, that...
Wait. Am I allowed to attack people if I'm exasperated at work?
No. But wait, but just hear me out because you have to hear this, okay? At the 25-minute mark or so, Crowder says that, that Floyd repeated, "I can't breathe," 8 times prior to the end when he was on the ground. Did you know that? 8 times. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. 8 times he said he couldn't breathe.
Is this while he's standing, or this is when he's on the ground?
This is from the very beginning when they got him in the car and they told him, "Put your hands on the wheel," and he didn't cooperate. And then so they finally got him to put his hands on the wheel. Even then he turned and he said, "If I remember correctly, I can't breathe." Well, why did you say that? The cops didn't do anything to restrict your breathing at that point, and so on and so on. It went throughout the entire video.
I don't know how that's supposed to be a positive in the cops' case, because
he may have been having an
I know, but just
asthmatic episode.
Just allow me to finish this thought because you have to hear what I'm going to tell you now, okay? The cops didn't do anything to restrict his breathing throughout the entire body cam footage. Nothing. If you can see it for yourself. It's right in front of your face.
And then he's saying, "I can't breathe." And then what?
He can't breathe. Now, okay, so here's what I want to propose to you. In my opinion, there are 2 possibilities for this, okay? One is that he's lying. He's just plain lying.
Could be.
Because he can't breathe, but he can. The other possibility has to do with what they found in his body afterwards. Did you know that they found that he had fentanyl and methamphetamine in his body?
Sure.
Not only that, but they also found a virus called COVID-19. Now we all know that this virus does restrict
a respiratory virus.
breathing. That's right.
So does kneeling on your neck, though. So if you have somebody whose breathing is already restricted.
I know. I'm coming to that point. Hear me out, please, okay?
Well,
The
get to
virus
it then.
Yeah, the virus restricts your breathing, right? Now, when you combine that with methamphetamine and fentanyl, and the fact that he was under stress because he was under arrest, okay? So you can combine those 4 factors and say, yeah, his breathing is restricted. But the cops, when they looked at him, they had no idea that he had methamphetamine and fentanyl or COVID. They had no idea, right? All they saw was what they did. And they didn't do anything to restrict his breathing. So now, can you imagine?
Well, hold on. I mean, there's an illegal hold move that they put on him, which is putting their knee on the neck.
No, 1 second.
I'm not claiming. Hold on. You wait a second, Jacob. I mean, I've held off for quite some time here, and look. Yeah, it's quite possible. I agree with you. It's quite possible that many factors led to George Floyd's death, and that a knee on the neck is only one of those factors. And it may not have even been an important factor. I don't know. But there's a reason that you don't use this particular hold, and that is because it can restrict people's breathing and kill them. And the cop chose to use it, and the other cops chose not to do anything about it. So to me, I say it doesn't matter why George Floyd died. What matters is the police departments need to understand that they can't use this particular system.
Can I just go on a limb for a second here?
You have been.
I know you're going to disagree. I know you're going to disagree with what I'm going to tell you. But again, from the cop's perspective, okay, he's rolling his eyes because he's heard him say, "I can't breathe" 8 times before.
Right.
But
it's kind of like screaming, "Stop resisting."
No. 1 second. But there's another reason why he may be rolling his eye. I give him the benefit of the doubt that this cop has experience, and he's used this technique with other suspects without any adverse effects.
You're really bad at defending the cops. If you want to argue that it was justified to do it, then argue that it was justified to do it. Do not argue that kneeling on someone's neck does not restrict the airway that's located inside their neck.
No, but none of the other people whose necks I kneeled on started dying.
How do you know? Wait 1 second. How do you know that this technique hasn't been used before? Because he knows the rules of being a cop.
Lots of really dangerous things has happened before. That doesn't mean you should continue to do them. Most things don't have a 100% fail rate. They just have a really high percent.
Jacob, look, anybody who's done any kind of physical work on other human beings, I'm thinking of like jiu-jitsu people and this sort of thing, you understand how to do the move and how not to do the move. You can have the knee on the back. The cop can have the knee on the back. The cop can't have the knee on the neck. And they know, and you know why? Because it's more effective to have the knee on the neck. Because it hurts more.
Okay.
It's pain compliant.
Yeah, okay, but let me ask you a question. Okay? I mean, you know elementary physiology like I do, okay?
Yep, I gotcha.
Have you ever tried to choke somebody from the back? In other words, if you apply pressure to the back of the neck, you can't really choke him out because the trachea or the air pipe is located in the front. In other words, you have to come around
the pressure is.
They did not cover how to choke people in my elementary physiology books.
I'll say this: you can apply pressure to the back of the neck and restrict the airway by shoving the neck down onto the pavement when he was on a hard surface. So if you're on a softer surface, it would be much more difficult to kill somebody with it. But yeah, you can do it.
Arguing that any physical violence technique is not dangerous is a ridiculous argument on its face. If you want to argue that the force was justified, then argue that the force was justified. Right now, you're making some weird argument
Jacob,
that it wasn't force somehow.
Let me ask you this. This is a more important question. Should police officers enjoy a greater form of protection for their actions on the job than any other profession in the world? Because I'm responsible for my actions when I get here on the airwaves or when I go to work.
Okay, yeah.
Should police officers?
That's a good question. That's a good question, but you have to put that in the following context, okay? Mm-hmm. Most people in their entire life will never experience a violent event to the point where their life is threatened. Okay. Police experience
That's because most people don't go around starting stuff. I had all kinds of drunk, crazy, high people walk into restaurants at all hours of the night. I never had a violent confrontation with one of them because I didn't go around threatening them.
No, I understand, but the fact
also, I don't think that's just factually accurate. Most people have a near-death experience at some point in their life.
Well,
but you have to acknowledge that police are routinely threatened with extinction when they go on the job.
Sure.
Most of us are not. Okay, so you
well,
have
it's
to
not
give
the
them a
most.
little more leeway.
When you talk about threats, it's
more...
difficult to talk about because I mean, police don't have the most dangerous career. I mean, roofers, loggers, fishermen, long haul truckers. These guys have more dangerous careers. Are more likely to
No, that's not true. No, I'm
yes,
sorry.
it is.
No,
it's absolutely true.
No, it's not true. It's not true.
Okay, then the internet has lied to me, and you know the truth.
No, 1 second, but just use a little bit of logic here.
Okay.
A logger, a roofer, okay, he's on the roof, okay, and if he's not careful about what he does, he can fall off, 100% true. If the cop is on the beat, okay, he may have to go on a roof, or he may have to go on a particular, in a particular area where his life is threatened. But in addition to that, you've got people who are out to kill him, which you don't have when you're a roofer, a logger.
Yeah, why is that? Why
whatever.
aren't people out to kill roofers and loggers?
Oh, come on. What kind of a question?
Well, when you're a roofer, you have gravity out to kill you.
It's the kind of question that I ask people when they don't want to answer it. That's what kind of question it is.
But the cop can also be threatened by circumstance.
Well, they can.
Also under the threat of, by circumstance.
So is your answer yes or no that a police officer should be less responsible for their actions than anybody else on the job?
No, he should be just as responsible.
Excellent.
But at the same time,
then the solution I have to this whole thing is get rid of qualified immunity. Get rid of qualified immunity, and then you won't have these kind of situations. And don't use moves to hold people that are outlawed, and then you won't look bad on TV. Because YouTube's a real thing. Thanks for the call, though, Jacob. I appreciate it. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another fatal shooting in Chicago, this one during dinner. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. One person was killed, 5 others injured in a drive-by shooting Sunday afternoon at a restaurant on Chicago's far south side. Fox's Aisha Hasni.
Police say that victim was targeted. He was dining outdoors underneath a tent when an SUV drove by and shots rang out.
The restaurant was identified by several media outlets as Luma's Pancake House. So far, police have no one in custody. 90 days of daily protests and nightly violence in Portland, Oregon. Now a man is dead, shot after clashes between supporters of the president and those with Black Lives Matter. The mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, telling those planning on coming to town for retribution to stay away.
I'm going to support the police chief and the district attorney in apprehending and holding accountable those who are responsible for the homicide last night.
The founder of Patriot Prayer says the victim was a supporter of the group. President Trump's supporters arrived in a caravan with as many as 600 vehicles to drive through the city. Violence also erupting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after a police officer shot a black man multiple times, leaving him partially paralyzed. Another man is accused of opening fire on protesters, killing 2 and injuring 1. U.S. Representative Val Demings on CBS's Face the Nation.
I think what we have to do is all take a deep breath. If we want justice to be served, we've got to wait until a thorough and complete investigation is done. We do not want to play judge, jury, and executioner, whether we're talking about Mr. Blake or we're talking about the police officer.
The president plans to visit Kenosha on Tuesday. The Boston Marathon goes virtual. The event was rescheduled from April to fall. Now runners will share videos of training, motivation, and execution, all broadcast on a week-long TV special in September. America's listening to Fox News.
For over 20 years, millions of customers have trusted Blinds.com to update their homes. Because Blinds.com makes it easy to get custom blinds that'll give your windows a high-end look without the high-end price. Whether you like to do it yourself, need help with design, or prefer measure and install services, they keep it simple with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. New window treatments are a simple way to really benefit the look and feel of your home. And Blinds.com will guide you every step of the way with free online design help. And if you're nervous about trying them, don't be. Blinds.com has over 30,000 5-star customer reviews, and they guarantee the perfect fit for your windows, whether you do it yourself or have them measure and install everything for you. Go to Blinds.com now to take advantage of this week's special savings on interior blinds, shades, shutters, and even outdoor shades. Rules and restrictions may apply.
President Trump is branding himself as the law and order candidate for the 2020 presidential election. Some people aren't buying it. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar on ABC's This Week.
We are not safe in Donald Trump's America. It's not only have we seen an increase in hate crimes, not only have we seen increases in crime, but we have seen 3,600 people die during the Republican convention.
While the Trump re-election campaign argues people will not be safe in Joe Biden's America, Biden's campaign is criticizing the president's coronavirus response and his actions regarding protests turned violent. The Attorney General of Kentucky says his office now has an FBI ballistics report in the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor, killed by police during a mistaken raid on her apartment. Attorney Benjamin Crump represents the family of Breonna Taylor, along with those of Jacob Blake, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd.
Since Breonna Taylor was executed in the sanctity of her own home by this no-knock warrant that was dangerously executed, we have been trying to get answers, our legal team.
Crump reacting on CBS's Face the Nation. Another MLB game is postponed following a positive COVID-19 test result.
The series finale between the Oakland Athletics and Houston Astros set for Sunday was postponed after the A's confirmed that a member of their traveling party tested positive for coronavirus. The organization said that it is conducting testing and contact tracing and plans to self-isolate in Houston in the aftermath of the test. It is the 38th game that MLB has had to postpone this year due to COVID-19 testing. The postponement comes one day after all 30 teams played on the same day for the first time since July 26th. Oakland is next scheduled to play Tuesday in Seattle.
22-12. I'm Ann Carrick, and this is Fox News.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It's really not freaky to have little kids mindlessly recite this anthem every day and pledge their life to a government before they're old enough to really think about what they're saying. This is not a form of brainwashing. This is really the greatest country in the whole world. All the other countries suck. And if this country ever goes to war, as it often wants to do, I promise to help go and kill all the other countries' kids. God bless GE. God bless Citigroup. Amen.
Very good, kids. Now come and get your Ritalin.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. If it's between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, wherever you are, Free Talk Live is taking your... I said 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. Wherever you are in the world. So you got to figure out where 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern is. And then, then we're on at that time. Let's go right to the phones. We got Jerome calling in from South Carolina. Jerome, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, an attitude like that, that's what you call racism and prejudice, okay?
What?
Because an attitude like that last guy, trying to defend what that cop did.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey,
well,
that guy, Chauvin,
I'd say it was prejudice, but it didn't seem racial in nature.
Okay? He enjoyed killing George Floyd.
The officer.
I'm
sure he did.
With you. I got a bet with you. Is this the captain?
No, this is Mark, Melanie, and
Mark,
and Peakless Mountaineer.
Okay, I know Melanie. Hey, I got a kiss for Melanie for the way she stood up for her point of view when it comes to that guy, because he was trying to pull.
I mean, Bob might have something to say for that. I'll do it for free.
Because he said, because he's pulling that the guys know everything. He's pulling that power play that a lot of men try to pull on women when women give you their viewpoint. But just let me say this. There is no way in hell those 4 cops will ever show their face on the witness stand trying to explain away what they did. Their lawyers are trying to come up with an angle to get them off. So Chauvin, he wants the judge to drop the charges. Is he out of his mind? Is he that arrogant? Yeah, he is. Because he just killed a guy, and he enjoyed doing it, and he thinks he shouldn't be put. I was reading about that immunity thing you were talking about.
Qualified immunity.
That is a joke. That is a joke. Okay? No average person could get away. Hey, if I walked out here today and I shot and I murdered a white person just like that and put it on tape, how many white people you think are going to defend me, man?
Probably not many. Here's the one thing I would say about it. I can't remember the officer's name off the top of my head, but I don't know whether or not the move he was making has been, police departments across the nation have been getting rid of this sort of putting the knee on the neck thing for a long time. I don't know whether he knew he was killing George Floyd.
He knew it.
I know that he did.
He knew it.
But if that was anybody else, it wouldn't matter if he knew it.
Yeah, he knew it, and he enjoyed it. You could see the look on his face. Hey, those people were pleading for him to stop, and he wouldn't do it. Now, how cruel? Can you be any more cruel than that, man? Can you? I don't think so. And this other thing about this, about Trump with re-election, you think a Democrat could be presiding in the White House and have all this stuff going on, man? You got the economy. You got over 180,000 people dead from this virus, and could do an interview and say, well, it is what it is, and then say, well, when you're a celebrity, they let you get away with it. You think a Democrat could show that much arrogance in office? Yeah, like President Obama. And then
President Obama is not arrogant.
Joe Biden is showing a whole lot of flagrance and arrogance with sniffing on kids, and he got the nomination. He's not in office.
And he's running as the BLM candidate, as the guy who ran who sponsored the crime bill.
I believe he's famous for saying, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black."
Yeah, I mean, the hubris is on both sides, Jerome. I mean, you're just not going to...
I mean, that's just politicians. That's not either side.
And then you got Trump saying, they're rapists, they're murderers. That's his campaign speech, okay? That's how he got into... He went, I'm going to use this to get into... Who said, I can stand out on the street corner in New York and shoot someone, and people will still, I wouldn't lose any support.
I agree with that statement, though. I believe that is an accurate statement. It's a weird thing to say.
We don't like hearing it.
Statement.
We don't like hearing that that's the place that we have in our society for politicians, but they are simply a first-class citizen, and the rest of us are not.
Let me ask you. You think there's a black man or woman running for office in this country that could get on national television and voice those type of opinions and white people would say, you know what? I think we ought to vote for them.
Well, I don't know who would vote.
Find somebody like that?
No.
I hope people don't vote for people based on the color of their skin. It's a really crappy reason to vote for people. But I can say this. Charlie Rangel, probably about 10 years ago, was censured by the House of Representatives for decades of not paying his taxes. Right. And I think that that's a strange thing for a politician, a person who lives on taxes, paid by tax money, to choose not to pay their taxes. So
let me ask you this. If President Obama had said those type of things, how hard do you think Fox News would slam him in his face with it, and the black community, every chance they got?
Well, Fox News would go after him no matter what he did, because that's their job. But but hold on. When it comes to Barack Obama, I still think, no matter what, he was going to win that second term, because it's incredibly difficult to beat a president and keep them out of that second term.
Well, and you just asked a question of, is there any black politician that could get away with saying, I could go out on Main Street and shoot someone and people would still vote for me? Yeah, Kamala Harris, right now. Ooh. I think right now she could get on TV, say that exact line, and people would still be expected to vote for her.
Well, she's not really running, though.
Well, she kind of is. He's not going to live very long.
She would never say something like that.
Well, she did she did chuckle about throwing parents in jail for their kids not going to school.
And I'm not saying she would. I'm saying she could.
Shooting somebody, especially with the way things are going on.
If you don't want to go with the cop, they're going to shoot you. I can assure you. That's what they do.
Shooting people is not something to be joked about, especially the way things are now, especially at a time like this.
Well, I think that Trump was showing the level of his support in doing it. Look, I don't want to defend Trump or any other politicians out there, because that's not my job. My job is to try to hold these people accountable and try to get, human-like behavior out of this subspecies that we call politicians.
Oh, I agree with that part.
Thanks for the call, Jerome.
All right.
Appreciate it. I do love his calls, I got to say. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450 free. Let's go to Pat calling in from Michigan. Pat, you're on Free Talk Live. Pat, you're on Free Talk Live. I'm going to put Pat back on hold, see what's going on with him. Robert in South Carolina. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, sir. I studied law in Germany, and what they would call the Knackpunkt, that means is the significant point in deciding the whole whether this guy is innocent or not, the policeman, is what his intent was. In other words, if it was possibly murder, possibly even premeditated murder, and that is that he had held him there for 8 3/4 minutes, if I remember correctly, and 2 minutes before he stopped. He stopped holding him that way. Another policeman, if I remember correctly, checked to see if he could find a pulse, and he couldn't. Now, if you're doing that and you find that the person has no pulse, you immediately rush for help. You don't hold him down for 2 more minutes unless you want to kill him. And that's, for me, what would be the decisive point. And that's just what I wanted to point out, okay?
Huh. I think that's a very relevant point. Thank you, Robert. I don't know if it's I don't know if it proves intent, but it certainly proves a high level of negligence.
I mean, you don't even need, if it was anybody else, or if it was somebody without a badge, you wouldn't need intent. If I get in a fight and I accidentally kill the other person, I'm going to be charged with either second degree manslaughter or negligent homicide, however that state splits it up.
Yeah, your intent is important for first degree homicide. But if it's actually murder, you have to have the intent of killing them. But if it's negligent homicide, your intent doesn't really matter.
For second-degree murder, in a lot of states, you don't need intent.
I think everybody...
Although I don't think that would do it, even if it was just two guys.
Always wants to run to the biggest charge you can get. Look, second-degree murder carries 22 years in prison. That's plenty of time in prison, folks.
To maybe rethink your qualified immunity.
Right, real bad. 855-450-3733. 855-450 free here on Free Talk Live. News from news.bitcoin.com. U.S. Postal Service files a patent for new blockchain voting method. Warren Buffett changes his opinion on gold. Maybe Bitcoin is next. $6 billion Acon cryptocurrency city underway. Former Prudential CEO says now's the time to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies. Getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Subscribe to Bitcoin.com's YouTube channel, too. Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Email is easy, instant, and free, and that can be real embarrassing. Email lacks the eye contact and body language you get in face-to-face conversation, or the tone of voice and other nuance you hear in a telephone conversation. Email is just words, often few words. We're all smothering in spam, so we often reply in terse fashion that's easy to misunderstand. And email doesn't cost you a postage stamp, and it lacks the deliberation time it'd take to walk to the snail mail box. So it's easy to succumb to the "oh yeah" stimulus response trap. When in doubt, don't snap back at snippy messages you get. You may have mistaken the sender's intent. And unless you're sending AOL to AOL, there's no unsend. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. The number, 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE. It's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
I want to tell you about Bitcoin.com. Bitcoin.com is your source for all things crypto. If you want to find out about cryptocurrency, learn more about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin.com is a place to do it. They got a Getting Started tab right there. But I think also it's important to note that if you know a great deal about cryptocurrency already, that news.bitcoin.com is providing real cryptocurrency news on a regular basis. They're not just reprinting stories, they're writing stories, and they're doing it from a standpoint of people who understand cryptocurrency's place in the world and hope to see it grow. It's bitcoin.com to find out more. Oh, by the way, they've got a great YouTube channel. If you just go there, they'll do weekly reports and news and these sorts of things. So look them up on YouTube. Just look up bitcoin.com. Let's go to the phones. Try Pat again. Pat, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello?
Hey, what's on your mind, Pat?
Hello? Yeah. Well, sorry about the absence on the phone last time. You guys had so much fun with Jerome. I was getting cauliflower ear. I had to set it down. Anyway, so I got a couple of things I'd like to touch base with. One of them is the killer bees that I do believe are just dealt with. And the other one is the coronavirus that I think all of your listeners should be apprised of a situation that might save their asses. Anyway, I was out by the fire pit burning some briars, and these nasty little bees rose up on me. And I've never seen them before. They're about the size of a sweat bee, but they have the resemblance of a yellow jacket. And they banged me. They chased me into the house. One of them even got in. I mean, they were doing their due diligence. And I'm thinking these are the little African bees, or I heard there was a hybrid of these things that they had crossbred with the honeybees.
Yeah, they crossbred with European bees, and it's difficult to know what a given hybrid hive is going to act like. Sometimes they're mild, sometimes
these are ground nested like yellow jackets.
Yeah, I tend to think that that's not an African killer bee. So the killer bees are, as I understand it, honeybees, but just meaner honeybees. But what I would do is look it up on the internet to be sure.
Well, dude, I have a dumb phone. I do not do the inner tube. I have lived off grid for like 10 years. That's why I'm calling to pick your brains and your listeners' brains.
Well, my brain says that that killer bees is a form of meaner honeybee, and they look relatively similar to a honeybee, a little less round, a little sort of longer, more bullet-like. But other than that, they can breed with honeybees. They are honeybees, and basically,
I've lived in Michigan 60 years. Yep. I have never seen this bee. And this confuses me very, very much.
Well, take a few around. If you've got any samples, take them around and show people. I think they might be able to help you out with it. Appreciate the call, Pat.
I wonder if this is another example of how our massive change in our economy is changing the behavior of wildlife. Because we've had a story about how the rats in New York have had to change their behavior patterns from just a lack of available garbage to eat. So, I mean, if this was some, weird kind of wasp, they might have migrated a little differently this year.
I guess the possibility exists. Let's go to, I think, Desiree in New Mexico. Desiree, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, with the cops who caused the death of that one guy,
George Floyd?
Wanted to say, I just wanted to say, if somebody says that I can't breathe, you don't put them under further duress. You call an ambulance. Everybody seems to be missing that point.
Yeah, I think it's fair, but everybody who's arrested has, at that point, they have the right to go to the hospital. And, these police are not trained in many cases to see all these different diseases. They shouldn't be diagnosing somebody when they say they can't breathe. They shouldn't be diagnosing them.
Yeah, granted, I don't think that anybody beyond a doctor should diagnose anybody by any means other than a doctor. But if somebody says, hey, I can't breathe.
Right. Well,
you call an ambulance.
If you decide that somebody who doesn't need an ambulance that says that they can't breathe, then you've diagnosed them as not ill.
Because if cops are allegedly emergency services, if we're going to go with that mythology, if you pull somebody over and they're alleging to have a medical episode, then you call for medical backup. Like that version of the story is just worse to me, because now you have a guy who's up front saying, I need medical attention, instead of after you started to kick him around.
Yep.
And you decided to start kicking him around instead of calling the medical professionals.
It's just like, to me, it's common sense that, hey, somebody says I can't breathe. Well, you don't need to diagnose them, but just call for an ambulance.
Call someone
or
who can diagnose
as
him.
Call somebody to come in and do the diagnosis. And if the person's fine, then the cops can just go take them to jail or whatever they're going to do, or give them a citation or whatever it is that they're going to do.
And I feel like I need to clarify. I'm not saying that's how it went down. I have not heard that version of events from anybody other than that other caller. I'm just saying that's a really odd defense to try to make on the caller's part, because that makes it worse if that is what happens.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know whether it would make it worse or better. I mean, I don't know what these cops should be charged with, whether it's first-degree murder or form of manslaughter or, second. I wouldn't even make that claim. But I do think that they, it seems to me that there's some kind of sentence coming down the pike here. And I think that everybody ought to consider exactly, like, I think that this country just in general over-sentences people. Now, I don't think we should necessarily start real, good and, sort of moral sentencing necessarily just on these cops. But I don't think that, that prison's really a solution. Remember, if you sent these cops to prison for life, there would be somebody out there screaming, why didn't you chop them up in little pieces, burn the ashes, and spread the ashes all over a volcano?
Right, you know? They do.
That sounds like something. That sounds like something Bob would say in detail.
Yeah, I do think that these cops deserve some punishment, but to necessarily life, probably not. But they do deserve some kind of punishment because they were clearly in the wrong for continuing to cause or further the cause of this person's death.
Thank you for the call, Desiree. I think they deserve punishment because they were working in a system that loves to mete out punishment.
I think that too, but I mean it literally, and Mark does not.
What do you mean?
They deserve punishment for being cops.
No, I mean in the sense that if you're willing to send somebody up the river for 25 years for possession of a plant or, any variety of other things, then yeah, if you overstep the bounds, then that in and of itself makes you worthy of the sentencing. I think the whole system
almost like we should give them a greater standard with all this power.
That's what seems.
It's like being a cop is an aggravated factor.
Indeed. Thanks for the call, Desiree. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur. And Levette wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work. So I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin. And, all right, I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live.
Do you think it's a respectable job to go around and threaten people over parking somewhere?
You're intentionally misrepresenting what a parking attendant does.
What do they do?
I don't think they threaten people in that manner. They write tickets.
What do you think a ticket is?
Annoying.
The ticket's a threat.
This is why I think you come off so bad in those videos. This is not how people act in the real world. It's very unusual.
The parking enforcers are issuing threats, and that's what a ticket is. If you don't pay the ticket, there's a consequence behind that. They'll tow your car. In some cases, they'll boot your car. It depends on what city. The people that work downtown, a lot of them loved the Robin Hooders because the Robin Hooders would regularly save. These are the people who are putting change in expired parking meters downtown. They would regularly save downtown downtown denizens, people who are working or living downtown, from getting multiple parking tickets every month.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
The number 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Call in and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Let's go. Well, real quick, I want to tell you about the AMP program. Go to amp.freetalklive.com, and you can help support us in our mission to bring the ideas of liberty to as many people who could possibly hear them. You know, you don't hear the non-aggression principle mentioned on any other radio program. I mean, if it's ever been mentioned on any show that'll ever allow you to use the term libertarian to describe them, it has been done in passing one time. Whereas here on Free Talk Live, you'll hear the notion of the non-aggression principle relatively regularly. Peakless Mountaineer, what is the non-aggression principle?
Non-aggression principle is not initiating force or the threat of force.
Basically, yeah. You just don't hit or punch people unless they've done it to you first, basically, or whatever form of violence.
Or take their stuff.
Likely David Blizzard, who is a silver amplifier, believes just that, and that's the reason that he has amped the program. Or he just likes the idea that we make the phone lines available to people to call in. David Blizzard, thank you. Thanks to all the amplifiers at amp.freetalklive.com. Let's go to Jim calling in from Pennsylvania. Jim, you're on Free Talk Live. Jim.
Hey, how you doing, Mark?
All's well. What's on your mind?
I just, you had a caller earlier that, maybe 15, 20 minutes ago, speaking about George Floyd and how unfortunate that was. But, I mean, as they investigate this issue, they're finding out that, you know, he swallowed a lot of patches.
He swallowed a lot of what?
Like oxycodone patches.
All right. I didn't know they existed in the form of patches. All right.
No, they're called something different. They switched it.
Okay.
And I might not be.
All right, so he's taking oxycodone. Go ahead.
But I mean, the whole situation is bad.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why George Floyd died. I don't know. But
he's in bad shape.
I do know that police departments around the country have been very clear not to use this particular technique that this officer was using. And whether or not that's the technique, that's the thing that killed him, I couldn't say. I don't know. I never got to examine the body. Some people, in one case they said it was asphyxiation from the knee on the neck, and in the other case they said, oh yeah, he died of something completely different. I wouldn't claim. What I would say is that we all live in a new YouTube world. And in this new YouTube world, we're going to get held accountable in ways differently than we did in the previous one. And in this one, when you're at a department that has outlawed a particular move or made unacceptable, no longer policy, whatever the terminology is, then you need to follow those rules. There are other ways to get this guy, to hold him and do stuff. There's a cop standing there going, I mean, that guy could have been calling for backup or doing whatever while this officer held him in, any kind of jiu-jitsu lock that didn't have to do with breathing.
You're absolutely right. Hey, I was an MP. He could have been in handcuffs, and his ankles could have been there, and you don't even have to touch that person.
Right.
That's right.
Right. Put him in cuffs and throw him in the back of the car, and then if he dies in the back of the car, I don't know what happened. We wouldn't be having this conversation if George Floyd died in the back of that police car from some kind of fentanyl overdose.
Or if he
COVID,
died waiting for the ambulance to get there. Because then we would know what it was.
Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely right, both of you.
Thank you
for fentanyl didn't help him.
It certainly didn't.
It didn't.
Tends to have that effect.
George Floyd was pretty clearly to me not living a great life. However, if you're going to fight a war on drugs, you should be prepared to run across people on drugs.
Agreed. Well, I mean, there's people on drugs whether you're fighting a war on drugs or not.
But if you go out looking for them, you're going to find them.
Thank you for the call, Jim. I do appreciate it. If George Floyd was passing off a counterfeit 20, by passing off, that's an active act, right? Like he could have just been trying to spend a bill that he had and he had gotten and didn't know that it was a counterfeit 20. I imagine he runs in circles where counterfeit 20s are more common than I do. But if that's what he was doing, he could expect a run-in with the law.
I mean, that's also true, but the cops are the ones standing there saying, I'm the good guys. George Floyd was standing there saying,
no argument.
Do you have any more fentanyl or whatever he was saying?
There are a lot of things these cops could have done that would not have resulted in police stations being set on fire across the nation. Mistakes were made on all sides here. I don't ever want to lionize any of these people as saints. Many of these folks, not saints. A few of them are. And I think that they deserve mention at the time. Philando Castile, also in Minneapolis, that guy deserves mentions. He said he was a concealed carry permit holder, and he went for his wallet. The officer asked him to go for his wallet. He went for his wallet, and the officer shot him. That's the story.
And that's the thing. I mean, the police have a general tendency to treat human life callously.
And it's worth mentioning that there are states, and that is one where it is a mandatory announce that you're carrying state.
Interesting. I think if I worked as a police officer, I would quickly become rather cynical about human life too, because the kind of folks that you work with day in and day out suck. Now, that's not a defense for anything. What it is it's just a psychological evaluation. Maybe police officers should only be police officers for a year, because maybe the human mind can only handle that. I don't know. Maybe people that want to be police officers shouldn't be allowed to, and people that don't want to be police officers should be forced to. I have no idea.
I bet you we could find out if we could fire them.
That would be really hilarious to Keene, just from a sociopathic perspective. It would be...
Oh,
It
if
would
you
be
could only be
interesting to watch.
if you could only be a cop for a year.
If they just made us all be if they made people who didn't want to be
mandatory
cops.
police service.
Yeah, that would just be fun to watch.
I think that'd be
It
awesome.
would be evil, but it would be fun to watch it unravel.
Let's go to Jim here, calling in from Florida. Jim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Mark, I've been pretty on with you about everything you said, and like you said it a couple nights ago about one guy asked you about something. He said, "Well, I don't know all the facts. I haven't seen everything yet." And at first, when I first saw this, the George Floyd killing, the guy on the neck, absolutely it looks terrible, and it's ridiculously crazy why he's on that neck for so long. But I think sometimes these prosecutors are overcharging, especially with second-degree murder. I mean, that's a high bar. I mean, that has to be defined as intentional murder and lacks premeditation, but it's intended to cause bodily harm and it's unintentional. I don't think there's no way they.
Did you look up the statute for second degree in that state?
Different states do have different definitions.
Well, what I know, it has. I mean,
right. In Florida, you have given the proper definition for second-degree murder in Florida. So I will, support you on that. I think that, to be fair, prosecutors do this to everybody, right? Like, that's what they do is they come up with the biggest charge they can. That way they can plea you down towards something that is more appropriate or whatever. So I don't...
But this officer's not pleading down to anything. He just tried to get the whole thing totally erased. And then also now, when I first saw it, but now they showed the body cam, and you guys were talking earlier, they did have him in the back of the car, and he was freaking out. They had him handcuffed in the back of the car, we didn't see this until a week or 2 weeks later when the body cam footage.
Yeah.
They did have him in the back of the car, and everybody's like, "Why did they put him in the back of the car?" And I was like, "Why didn't they put him?" He was.
Well,
he was freaking
he's
out,
incarcerated in the back of the car. Let him freak out. Thanks for the call, Jim.
Exactly.
The number 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Attention radio listeners. Have you ever wanted to be independent of the utility companies and actually generate your own supply of off-grid electrical power? If so, this is going to be the most important message you'll ever hear. Here's why. A limited number of solar-powered backup generators are back in stock and now available. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. And unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running silently, secretly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, even keep food from spoiling. Go to mysolarbackup.com to learn more. That's mysolarbackup.com. Supplies are still limited and are available on a first-come, first-served basis only. mysolarbackup.com.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus doesn't grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. A 1 pound package of tea is $34.95 plus shipping. To order, please visit shopsupertea.com. That's shop, S-H-O-P, super, S-U-P-E-R, T-T-E-A.com. So the complete website is shopsupertea.com, or call us at 818-984-6100 Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5 California time. That's shopsupertea.com at 818-984-6100.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. LRN.fm now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. It's Mark with you. Whoops, sorry about that, Peakless.
Now audible, Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
Oh. Yep. Check out freetalklive.com where we have the newsletter that you can sign up for. We would love you to sign up for our newsletter so that you can get the newest news on Free Talk Live. It's right there on the front page at freetalklive.com. Let's go to Rat Speed, calling in from the inner tubes. Rat Speed, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, how you doing? So that original caller that called in and talked about how we saw the body cam footage via the Steven Crowder. I saw the original body cam footage myself, raw, the actual clip. I didn't see it through an intermediary, so I don't know exactly if that original caller either misinterpreted what he saw and heard, or if, I don't know if Steven Crowder influenced his thinking, but there were a couple of unfactual things that he mentioned.
Can you help me out?
Okay, well, first of all, like the previous caller just said, is that at one point, George Floyd had been put into the vehicle, but I would say that lasted about maybe 5 seconds. I don't know if the police were just stupid, but they left both doors open. So what happened is they had a heck of a time trying to get him into the vehicle in the first place. First thing he said is that he was afraid. He did actually inform them that he had been tested for COVID. So that actually is something that he did say to them. Unlike the other caller, he said he didn't say it. Well, he did.
Police are trained in many cases to just simply, police are trained to not believe people, right?
Right.
Cynical. If saying that I have COVID would get me out of an arrest, you'd be surprised how many people would say they have COVID, or wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's a bit of cynicism involved as well, disbelieving, skepticism. So what happened was he went into the left back door of the vehicle, and he was panicking at the time, or at least making the presence that he was panicking and that he was claustrophobic. And he shuffled right through to the right back door.
So police procedure here of keeping the other door closed,
was not followed.
Pretty simple stuff. A failure. Gotcha.
Yeah. So then that's when, and at all of that time, he was saying that I can't breathe. He said it multiple times. The context that I specifically got from it, that I inferred from it, was that he couldn't breathe because he was scared.
Okay.
That's the feeling that I got. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, it could have also been exacerbated by the fact that he had COVID or that he was possibly on
Being
drugs.
scared
I don't know.
and high when cops walk up to you, I imagine might cause something like that. And I'm not saying that's the only thing he had going on, but yeah, that would cause something.
So,
I think
can
it
you
was
clarify for me real
multiple
quick? You said that his being in the back of the car lasted for all of 5 seconds. And is that because they put him in the car and then just like left him there and then he left the car?
No, he immediately shuffled over to the other side of the car to escape from it. So in other words, they put him. They had a hard time trying to get him in, and when they forcefully kind of pushed him in, he immediately made a break for the other door that was already open. So
See, cars, cars like the internet are a series of tubes.
Yes, and you just can't, and you can't just put things in like a dump truck. You have to anyway.
And based on the behavior of the cops in general and the statements from some of the people talking about this, they're acting as if the police are somehow weirdly entitled to have sane, calm, compliant, rational people to arrest. Which, if that's how someone was, you probably shouldn't be arresting them. If you had someone who is calm and sane and makes good decisions, you can probably just leave them alone. The fact that you're having to go capture someone should tell you that there's something wrong with this person, although they're used to arresting people for no reason who have nothing wrong with them.
Well, that's the other thing. The attitude that they brought to him, it almost made it sound like or feel like, the feeling that I got from him is that they already knew him. And he almost was kind of like expecting them to show up. So that's the feeling. In other words, the beginning of the confrontation was very abrupt. It was like, oh man, you guys here? Okay. And so when they did put him into the car, but I have to go back and double check my facts, but I do believe he was already handcuffed at the time. So he was already handcuffed. I don't know why they just didn't push him back in and close the doors or something, but that's when the total
whole thing went
ridiculousness
down.
started after. Yeah. It was on the street. And the more that he protested, the more people were showing up and protesting the cops'
behavior,
mishandling him. Exactly. So the final thing is that they do train police officers. I don't know if in that jurisdiction they did, but I know for a fact that even back during, I think it was the 2008, what was it? The Republican convention, I believe, or something was going on there. It happened in Minneapolis, and that one reporter from Democracy Now!
Amy what is her name? It's not coming to me.
Amy Goodman.
Yeah, Amy Goodman, yeah.
Amy Goodman and her associate both got manhandled and arrested. And the Minneapolis police were, as part of the settlement, were legally obligated to go through arresting procedures and training as part of, so, a lot of good that did.
Yeah.
Right.
Training isn't going to fix this. Thank you for the call, Ratspeed. You can't give somebody qualified immunity, meaning immunity from certain types of behavior, and then expect that behavior not to occur. The thing that makes humans act responsibly is, wait for it, responsibility. And when you don't take away responsibility, you're going to take away responsible behavior. End of story. It's that simple. Let's go to Sebastian calling in from New Mexico. Sebastian, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Well, so I want to touch on a couple things that you guys brought up.
Yep.
So with the George Floyd thing, I agree that everything that happened was absolutely horrible. And, and even like the most recent cases, like, the Ahmaud Arbery case, what I find infuriating is the fact that almost everyone's on the same page, and yet people are burning down their cities but everybody's on the same page, and these people who did these horrible things are being held accountable. And everybody pretty much universally, I don't think I've met anybody or talked to anybody who said, George Floyd, he deserved what he got or anything like that.
I see plenty of people saying that.
Literally, I disagree. I don't think anybody I know...
You disagree on what I've seen?
I think he
weird.
disagrees with that being a common opinion.
Yeah, I that's not a common opinion. People who think that is, what happened to George Floyd was in any way justified. And we're all on the same page, and these people are being held accountable. So why the riots? Why the unrest? Why all of this chaos in the streets if these people are being jailed and held accountable?
You're asking me? I think the reason is because
it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah, many people believe it's too little, too late, and I don't think that riots and buildings burning or anything like that is a solution. I think that it's indication of a high level of frustration, plus some people that just want to build.
And it was encouraged, because for the first riot, they went and they said, we want these people arrested, and they burned down the police station, and the police were like, okay, let's arrest the people. That was incredibly stupid. And so the people were like, well, if I just burn down a police station, I can get what I want? Well, yeah, let's go burn some stuff down then. That's actually the rational response.
Yes, it is, actually.
Well, there's a good and a bad reason for it. So the good reason is that we have seen a lot for a very long time of just terrible behavior by police. And the bad reason is because we must wage an eternal war against racism.
Yeah, go ahead, Sebastian.
Well, I guess I kind of lost my train of thought there. Well, the other one that you were talking about, like how cops can slowly become cynical. I'm not a cop, but I am a first responder. And I can see how somebody can become cynical. I don't think it's an excuse. I don't think that's a good thing. I think when you start getting that way, you either need to get out, take vacation, get help, whatever that may be, whenever you start feeling yourself being that way, or even somebody comes to you.
Most people are not that self-aware.
Right. And that's why I say maybe even
And plus the paychecks are good, at least for firemen. Are you a fireman or an EMT?
I'm a paramedic, yes.
Paramedic. So in a lot of cases, you can't leave and go find the kind of pay and benefits that you're getting where you're getting it at the same time. By the way, just a few accidents I've ever responded to, nightmares.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be part of the next revolution in money.
It is that little thing.
Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The mayor of Portland blames the president for deadly violence in his city. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. A man was shot dead after a caravan of 600 vehicles with supporters of President Trump clashed with Black Lives Matter supporters. Mayor Ted Wheeler.
It's you who have created the hate and the division.
It's you who have not found a way to say the names of black people killed by police officers, even as people in law enforcement have. And it's you who claimed that white supremacists are good people.
Protests and violence have plagued Portland for the last 90 days. The president responding with multiple tweets saying the mayor would like to blame the federal government, adding he hasn't seen anything yet. President Trump was set to visit Kenosha, Wisconsin on Tuesday related to the police shooting of Jacob Blake. Now a letter from the governor, Tom Evers, is asking him not to come. The governor is saying the presence of the president would hinder healing and require Kenosha to redirect much-needed law enforcement resources. Movement in the investigation of a black woman shot and killed during a raid at her home last March.
Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron says they now have a critical piece that could wrap up the probe into Breonna Taylor's death in Louisville.
We do have that ballistics report. We will be meeting with the FBI at the beginning of this upcoming week.
3 Louisville officers acting on a no-knock warrant fired into Taylor's apartment, killing her. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who represents Taylor's family, says misinformation given to the family early on has fueled skepticism.
So you have to forgive them from not trusting any law enforcement officials right now.
Both appeared on CBS Face the Nation. Only one of the officers involved has been fired. None have been charged. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
America's listening to Fox News.
2020 has already reshaped how we work, and it's only halfway over. Businesses across the globe are challenged to be their most efficient, which means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed.com is the #1 job site in the world because Indeed gets you the best people fast. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need. You can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. Plus, Indeed provides powerful tools to make your search that much easier. With 73% of online job seekers visiting Indeed each month, Indeed is going to get you the important hire you need, just like they have for over 3 million businesses. Right now, Indeed is offering our listeners a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Try Indeed out with a free $75 credit at Indeed.com/Fox. This is their best offer available anywhere. Go right now to Indeed.com/Fox. Terms and conditions apply. Offer valid through September 30th.
President Trump's advisor and son-in-law hailing the establishment of diplomatic relations between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. Fox's Trey Yingst.
Senior advisor Jared Kushner and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met in Jerusalem to discuss that UAE-Israel peace deal that was announced earlier this month. Kushner was joined by U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien. The pair will travel tomorrow morning on the first ever official public flight from Tel Aviv to Abu Dhabi. They will be joined by an Israeli delegation of business and tech leaders on an El Al plane that has now been painted with the word peace in English, Hebrew, and Arabic. Both Kushner and Netanyahu appear optimistic that other countries, such as Oman and Bahrain, may be normalizing ties in the near future with the Jewish state.
Israel's prime minister also dealing with allegations of corruption amid criticism of his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. No progress on another coronavirus relief bill. The White House and congressional Democrats about $1 trillion apart on a deal. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows on NBC's Meet the Press talking about House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Here's the problem is she puts forth a number, suggests that she came down, and yet she's willing to turn down $1.3 trillion of help that goes to the American people because she would rather them have nothing than to give way.
The virus is blamed for more than 180 deaths in the United States. An Indiana lawmaker wants to deny coronavirus unemployment aid to people engaging in violent protests.
These big city mayors are turning a blind eye to this type of violence. So my bill, the Support Peaceful Protest Act, would take away the enhanced federal benefits, that $600 a week that these people are making to be professional protesters at night.
House Republican Jim Banks on Fox and Friends. Those expired $600 benefits changed to $300 by executive order. I'm Ann Carrick, and this is Fox News.
This is the Onion Week in Review. In a landmark 5-4 decision issued this Wednesday, the Supreme Court ruled to allow Americans to cram cash directly into politicians' mouths. The ruling, which effectively eradicates former prohibitions against stuffing checks and stacks of $100 bills straight down the throats, ears, and other orifices of presidential and congressional candidates, is expected to fundamentally alter the ways American politicians have large quantities of money shoved right into their bodies.
In football music news this week, the 1985 Chicago Bears reunite to record their first new material since the Super Bowl Shuffle. The group says the new material will be darker and more introspective than its Shuffle-era work.
And in this week's op-ed pages, a man asks why, if God exists, doesn't he throw us like a really sweet party? In other news, an increasing number of men feel pressured to accept realistic standards of female beauty. FedEx confirms that more than 600,000 people try to mail themselves each year. And a recovering alcoholic doesn't need friends to have a good time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
That's right, it is Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. It's been a lot of calls tonight, guys. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm very pleased about that. And, yeah, well, you know, every time people call in, I don't have to do as much work. But we were previously in the first hour, which, you know, seems so long ago. We were talking about this revelation, I guess. The Gateway Pundit.com.
Before we switch gears, I did want to point out a thought that I had about now that we have this footage where he's saying, "I can't breathe" from the very beginning.
You're talking about George Floyd?
Yeah, and one of the things that struck me about that is, so the phrase "I can't breathe" is a weirdly politicized phrase.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't help but think of two scenarios in this. Like, one, we discussed briefly the idea of, okay, he's obviously saying he needs medical attention, and instead of giving him medical attention, you are focusing all of your efforts on detaining him. But the other thing that crossed my mind is, what if they took this as him getting politically anti-police and, you know, made some different decisions based on that?
Yeah, what if he was, you know, referencing the killing in Staten Island of the guy that was selling loose cigarettes, and he had some illegal hold put on him and died as a result. So he had said several times he couldn't breathe, right? So, you know, that is a possibility.
Which is part of why I don't think that's a phrase that should be politicized.
Indeed. So this article here from the Gateway Pundit is talking about the situation with COVID-19, and apparently, although there are 170,000 deaths that are COVID related, there are only 9,210 deaths that are just COVID is listed as the cause of death. Now, look, everything's a tragedy. Every death's a tragedy for the family that has to deal with it. I'm not saying that it's not, but it's kind of interesting. And then we don't know, because these are broken out by age cells, so apparently age is not listed as a factor, that some of these may just be deaths from old age. You know, we don't know.
Especially given that the median age tends to be somewhere in the very high 70s to low 80s.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're going to find out more and more about this COVID thing as time goes on. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's not the government's job to protect you. It's not other people's job to protect you. It's your job to protect yourself. So if you're concerned about your health and remaining alive during this COVID crisis, stay home, stay safe, and don't think that you can stop other people from living life just as a result, I think is really what I would like to say about this whole thing. Melanie, apparently it is illegal in Australia to discuss your rape.
Yes. So this is from the Daily Mail in UK. So, major victory for pedophiles as baffling law is passed that could see rape and sexual assault victims thrown into jail just for telling their stories.
Nothing better than laws that protect rapists and pedophiles.
Yeah, Victorian, which is a province in Australia.
Yep.
Sexual assault survivors could be jailed for up to 4 months or face fines exceeding $3,000 for telling their stories using their real names. The victims' real names, not even the perpetrators' real names.
Right. So if I'm getting this correctly, then basically if you, for whatever reason, you're talking to, say, the press as a woman, or as a rape victim, I should say, could be anybody, and you're not allowed, not allowed to identify your attacker, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, even after they've been convicted. You're not allowed to give your own name.
Yes.
As a result, which sounds like muzzling the press to me.
So this thing happened to my friend, and I'm going to give a detailed first-person perspective on it. But I can't tell you it happened to me, because that would be 3 months in jail.
And then the press can't publish your name either.
Right. I mean, you could presumably you could say anonymous. An anonymous woman has stated that an anonymous attacker, blah, 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 blah.
It seems that way. I'm not confident enough in my understanding of Australian law to be able to say that definitively.
So go on with the report here.
The Judicial Proceedings Reports Act was changed in February, prohibiting victims from identifying themselves publicly if their attacker has been found guilty. The new law applies retrospectively, meaning victims who have lawfully spoken out previously are now censored from speaking out publicly. I don't think that that's how they meant. I don't think that they meant ex post facto. I think that they meant if your conviction was in the past, you still also can't talk.
You could previously mention, prior to the enactment of this rule, that Johnny McRaper raped you, and now you can't. Basically, is what they're saying.
And media outlets who defy the law can also be prosecuted and face fines of up to $8,000. The only way for victims to identify themselves and tell their stories is to obtain a court order, which is not only time-consuming, but would cost more than $10,000 in legal fees. It's unclear if that's a legal court fee or if that's also attorney's fees.
Just astonishing.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I mean, here in the United States, this is just so outlandish, the idea. In a country where we have sex offenders lists, the idea that people...
if you got guilty of rape, we will make sure everyone knows here.
Right.
That's not entirely true, because there was a case, I forgot what the girl's name was, and she was a girl, she was young, who the judge gave her a gag order for the ongoing case and said that not only could she not name the defendant, but she couldn't even talk about what happened publicly. And she wasn't like a public figure or anything, so she didn't have much publicly
going on
in her available to her, but she could not even talk to anybody about a thing that happens to her in her life because this judge, U.S. courts have no problem handing out gag orders for things that don't make sense to hand out gag orders on.
Well, and not to defend that because that's indefensible, but at least that was limited to while it was an ongoing trial.
Yeah. Once he's found guilty, then at that point, it's all fair game.
Whereas this is specifically for after the trial is over. You're not allowed to talk about this happening to you in particular.
And while I would say that it is appropriate that people be able to serve their time and then learn from, if the idea of a penitentiary is that we are penitent for our behavior, and presumably you're let out of the penitentiary after having been sufficiently penitent, is the idea. Not that there's any way to know that, but you would have to
sufficiently penalized.
Right. You've been penalized in the penal building. So it seems like you should be able to go on and start a new life and that sort of thing, especially as certain breakpoints are met, milestones are met, say, 1 year out, 5 years out, or that sort of thing, I think that the idea of holding somebody responsible for something that happened decades ago is kind of pointless.
So even if I don't necessarily fully agree with that, but even if I did, that's between you and the state, not you and the victim.
Correct.
Regardless of what the crime is, it seems more reasonable to me in the case of rape. But even if you went into a restaurant and stole a mug, and 30 years later the owner wants to be bitter about it, that's his prerogative, and the court has no business telling him not to. And I think that that's even more unreasonable for an actual, not
a heinous
crime. Yeah.
Well, I would like to see people be able to start their lives anew. That the idea that somebody gets convicted and has to be an underclass individual for the rest of their life, I think, is pointless and probably results in more crimes. But we can talk about it more here on Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. What do you think? Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. U.S. Postal Service files a patent for new blockchain voting method. Warren Buffett changes his opinion on gold. Maybe Bitcoin is next. $6 billion Akon cryptocurrency city underway. Former Prudential CEO says now's the time to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies. Getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Subscribe to Bitcoin.com's YouTube channel, too.
Bear, the rescue dog, had very flaky skin, dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections. I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
Probably 6 weeks after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch. It was awesome.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into their rally.
Walk with me.
Well,
I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't going to make it.
Wait
now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE as in freedom. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
Want to tell you about Divvy? Divvy is a new, easy-to-use cryptocurrency. And by new, I mean newer than, say, Bitcoin. It's been around for a few years, and we've talked about it here on Free Talk Live for some time. Divvy its goal is to be so easy that your grandmother can use it. And when they roll out this new wallet that they've just put into the closed beta, well, not too long ago in the closed beta, things are going well, by the way, then you'll be able to send and receive money, exchange it between, whatever your local currency is, whether it's U.S. dollars or, I don't know, drachma or whatever it is. And you'll be able to, and cryptocurrency, you'll be able to do it all there in the wallet in more than 200 countries. And it'll be as easy to use as, using, say, PayPal or something like that. Check them out, divvyproject.org. And just for those that are interested in getting in to make a little money, Divvy's price increased from mid-March to mid-July by 10 times. And that's in conjunction with their new wallet and a few other advancements that they've had. When the new wallet does come out in force, will it go up another 10 times? Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you that we're pretty happy here at Free Talk Live with having hooked up with Divvy. So DIVI, Divvy as in division, DIVIproject.org. Let's go to David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, another observation. I had another court hearing, which was instructive in some ways. But going back to a previous hearing, one of the things I didn't share yet, when I had a hearing with in the case of KUNM, the radio station there, and they're journalists at radio stations, right? When they do a radio show and every radio show is on a political topic, they would generally be classified as journalists. Is that correct?
I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, if they're on a public radio station, they're supposed to be unbiased, and that's the idea of journalism. Sure.
I'm kind of against the idea of having a classification of journalism. Like, I figured the entire point of having, the first of the Bill of Rights be our freedom of press is that everyone gets to be a journalist if and when they decide to be so.
Yeah, I agree with that one. But anyway, I bring that up because I heard an interview, I think it was with Glenn Beck, I think is where I heard it, but I'm not positive. But he was interviewing Ari Fleischer, which most people or many people know who Ari Fleischer is. And one of the things, Ari Fleischer, actually, he was on the NPR, he was an NPR mainstay for many, many years, I believe. Or I'm getting the wrong guy maybe. No, that's the right guy. He's an NPR dude. And he also teaches classes at universities. And he did an informal, non-scientific survey in his classes of his students. And he asked them to raise their hand based on their political affiliation. And I think he did it like twice, I believe, in two different classes, totaling, around 40 students, 35, 40 students. Like I said, it's just a non-scientific deal. But all but one of them of these people were Democrat. And not a single one was Republican, and one was a Libertarian. And these are the journalism students at whatever universities he was teaching at, which is so. And now, so if we go back to the University of New Mexico, these students and staff that run this KUNM radio station and this Let's Talk New Mexico radio program, they, obviously in most cases, the journalists that do these radio programs, most of them came out of the journalism or broadcast media programs at those universities. And I would bet that 100% of these did, like at most universities. And so they're journalists. And so then if Ari Fleischer's survey holds somewhat true, then one can deduce that they are 100% or virtually 100% leftists as opposed to libertarian or rightists. And then if you do one more step, if you look at their, like if you go to their website, kunm.org, and look at what you can see in visual stuff and listen to whatever you would listen to there, you would, I'd be willing to bet $1,000 cash to anybody who wants to take the bet right now that the vast majority of their content would be, from the left viewpoint, supporting the left and against the right. And so that's what is at a radio station like this. And I know that's different than what I started with. But I just
now, was that the same radio station that was the college broadcasts station, or
right, the one that's got it in for David for making telephone calls to them and giving their opinion when they asked for people to make telephone calls and give their opinion. And then I think probably more importantly, he was sort of banned from the show. He didn't call into the show. Then he called into another show on the station, and they decided, well, that the ban that they had given to him for the show was for the station, and so they arrested him for making a telephone call. And this was the hearing, and what happened with it?
This was the latest in a long series of hearings, and there's going to be 10 times more hearings than have already happened. But the latest one was fine. It was in direct contrast. This judge was a Victor Valdez, and if this ever gets back to you, Victor, I enjoyed talking to you, even though you would think that I didn't, because I basically put him to the test like I did these other judges, and his reaction, whatever Victor Valdez is in his own mind, and whatever he is as a total package, his behavior and response is completely different than the previous judges, which that were rather wanting to shut me up and put me in my place, and they were of a different demographic and different personality character type, just based on my casual assessment. But going back to a previous hearing, what was notable that I didn't get a chance to mention yet is one of the techniques that I used on that was Felicia Blair Rivera, and that I've used in the past and that I'll use again in the future, is when a judge when I assert myself in the courtroom, and you can key on the first letters of assert if you want to, but within my rights, and the judge snaps back at me in a uncalled for nature, like Felicia Blair Rivera did to me, by saying, "I don't think that I have to answer to you." One of my comebacks is, "Well, you're not answering to me, and I wasn't speaking to you. I was speaking to the record because I need to create a record from which to appeal."
You'd think she'd know that as a judge.
Right.
So was this Victor Valdez a judge that actually cared about justice? Because, they do exist. They're just like unicorns is all.
Well, I don't know. We haven't gotten that far yet. Well, all we got so far with Victor Valdez, we've gotten to the point where he seems to be a decent person, which I cannot say for Felicia Blair Rivera or David Murphy. So that's where we got. And to finish what I was saying about the Blair Rivera, and further, I go on to tell her and other judges like her, and further, when you respond to me, you're not responding to me. You are responding to the record, because once...
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
The number 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. So, previously we were talking about a situation in Australia where apparently, in their wisdom, they have passed some kind of law that says that rape victims may not discuss their own case, even after a conviction has occurred. They may not only not identify their perpetrator that has been duly convicted, but they may not identify themselves in sort of a public forum, whatever the form of the press might take.
And I kind of wanted you to clarify your position on this, because you were pointing out that, well, even the rapist, after they've served their time, has a right to sort of start anew. And I didn't quite fit that into
Right.
what we were talking about.
Well, so in the United States, it's like the exact opposite of the U.S. In the U.S., in Australia, somebody rapes somebody, and that somebody apparently does some kind of time and then gets out, and then there's basically no record of it because nobody's allowed to talk about it. Sound fair? Like,
No.
Sound fair as a representation of the law?
Yes. Or, I mean, as far as I know.
And then here in the United States, you pee behind a tree in public, get a sex charge as a result of, you're bearing
visible.
Yeah, bearing what God gave you to the world.
Behind a bar at 3 a.m., not like in the park at a
It's
tree.
usually about where it goes.
And then you are convicted as a sex offender, put on the sex offender list, can't live within 1,000 feet of a school, can't, do a variety of things. And, I mean, admittedly, this is a small amount of the people who are convicted of sex crimes, but the vast majority of people convicted of sex crimes have never gotten a trial. So we don't know what they did, because here in the United States, trials are an anachronism. Now, they likely signed a piece of paper, and I'm not saying that sex crimes don't occur. I'm not saying any of this stuff. All I'm saying...
The problem is you're lumping in child rapists with public intoxication and urination.
Yeah.
Those two things don't belong in the same universe.
They don't. And I think that in the U.S. that we probably have a perception that people can't change their ways around sex crimes. And the fact of the matter is that, yes, they can. Most, or at least a large percentage of people who get out of prison, most of the people who get out of prison from a sex crime do not go back in for a sex crime. So
Do we know that those people actually committed a sex crime in the first place, though?
It's not my job to figure that out.
As he pointed out, the majority of them, we don't go to trial. And that's the problem with not going to trial, is that we don't know for sure whether they actually did these
trial wouldn't
things.
tell me for sure. A U.S. trial wouldn't tell me that for sure either. I know there's no.
Well, I mean, it would
no
at
way
least give you a hint.
There's no way to give you a statistic on this because that's not how
right, but because
records work.
There's a meaningless event, which is a U.S. conviction.
Okay.
Which is meaningless in the realm of fact and fiction, and then based on a non-fact, we're going to say, therefore, it's possible to repent, or whatever word you want to use, from being an actual sex offender.
So what I would say is that people are capable of changing. Even somebody who's an actual sex offender is capable of changing their behavior. And if they have done what they are sentenced to do as far as crime goes, and look, if somebody made me Secretary of the Department of Corrections for some given state, I would do entirely different things than what we currently do. There's no way I'm going to take somebody with a DUI, somebody with a murder charge, a bank robber, and a sex offender, and throw them all in the same place and expect good results. That doesn't make any sense at all. What makes sense is that the sex offenders go through some kind of counseling that would help them in whatever way get the tools to deal with it.
If they're not actually sex offenders, then they don't belong in jail or probation or anything else.
I can't fix.
If they are in fact actually sex offenders, then they need counseling from Smith & Wesson.
Well, look, I get where you're coming from on the being pretty unhappy with sex offenders. However, it's a species that's here because of procreation, right? And there's going to be deviations in that arena of procreation. And don't forget, rape was a reality historically, and we just have to sort of weed this out.
Well, you don't weed it out by letting them wander around society and continue to rape people. You weed it out by shooting them in the face.
Well, by God, I never suggested that anybody be able to wander around society and continue to rape people.
Okay, because it sounded that way as long as they already did their time and got counseling.
No. When they do their time and they got counseling in the prison, then they should be able to get out. If they do it again, then, maybe... Look, if you want a good sentence for me as a judge, because I was just playing the Secretary of Department of Corrections. You want me to be a judge? All right. I find what I consider to be a real live sex offender, and I give them whatever period of time in prison that I think is appropriate. Say 5 or 10 years. All right? That's a long time by anybody's standards. Then they get out,
and they're on some kind of probation specially designed for sex offenders and potentially under chemical castration. Then we see how they deal with that particular situation for, say, a year. And then
that sounds like a whole lot of money just for so that rapists can continue to exist.
I'm against the
and I don't mean as rapists, but to continue to exist.
Yeah, but so are you suggesting that we enact a death penalty because it's gone so poorly?
I don't want the U.S. So kind of in the same way that if you have 50 DWIs, they take your driver's license away. If you kill people like the U.S. does, you get your killing people license taken away.
So
I don't want them doing it, but the appropriate response to an actual rapist or an actual child molester is to end their existence.
I'm not entirely. I get where you're coming from. Like taking out a bad dog, right? Like a dog that bites humans. At some point or another, you got to shoot a mad dog, right? I'm fine with that. I do believe that people can change, and I don't think that one time and one conviction is sufficient for that.
Well, conviction doesn't tell me anything because a conviction says that a U.S.
But that's
judge
all we've
convinced
got,
a U.S.
Melanie.
jury.
I can't create the fantasy world where we have a system run by angels that is always correct. I don't have
There's
that.
a lot in between the current U.S. system and idealizing
Sure
Kapistan.
is.
Hey, guys. So we could probably argue for 3 hours in a row on what the proper way of dealing with rapists and child molesters is, and exactly what corrections and what ways of determining we should find that they're guilty. We didn't start out talking about that. What we started out talking about was whether a person could tell their own story. Yeah. And I realized that I come from a position of privilege in this, in that I was brought up with the ideals of the Bill of Rights and a very strong cultural defense of free speech. And I mean, regardless of how we're going to deal with the rapist or not, the fact that you should always be able to tell your story and be able to say, this happened to me, I mean, that strikes me as, honestly, an even greater danger than not sufficiently punishing our rapists. I mean, once you start telling people you are not allowed to tell your story, you are not allowed to say that this is a story that happened to you. I mean, not only are we not correcting our problems in the right way, but we are taking a massive step away from the process that actually corrects problems.
Right, because the government, in this case the Australian, the people calling themselves the Australian government, they purport to represent you. The rapist does not purport to represent you. So there you go. That's the long and the short of that.
And that would also indicate to me that if these victims are still wanting to tell their story publicly 10, 15, 20, however many years later, that problem is still ongoing. So if the victim's not off the hook yet, neither should the perpetrator.
Yeah, the perpetrator should be responsible in a perfect world for paying for the counseling for the victim. And that would be certainly a preference. Check out freetalklive.com. Go there, sign up for our newsletter at freetalklive.com.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Introducing Reveal from GCNlife.com. Beverly Hills dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman invented Reveal, which contains polypeptides with natural botanicals and no parabens, sulfates, silicones, or dyes for a salon-quality hair growth product. Reveal. Here's Dr. Newman.
I've treated a lot of patients who lose their hair and they lose their confidence. We've created a unique set of polypeptides, which we call HPT6. The HPT6 contains contains the polypeptides from 6 different plants. The scalp infusion treatment should be used on wet or dry scalp. The Reveal hair care system is designed to be used for men and women alike.
Get Reveal at GCNlife.com with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So try Reveal today at GCNlife.com or 844-443-6637. Plus a discount up to 25% off for Reveal at GCNlife.com or 844-443-6637.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, the Mineral Doctor. You've heard me talk about 90 for Life for years. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids. You may not know this, that I've actually designed Arthrodex for animals. That's right. Your pets need 90 for Life too. Get this essential pet product by calling 877-279-9422. That's 877-279-9422. Again, 877-279-9422.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Today I have with me Alan Mintzer. Alan, you're with Standard Hydrogen, which is a company that apparently has the ability to help us clean up the oceans?
That is correct. We have technology that can do that over time, yes.
Can you tell me about it? Because this is obviously everybody hears about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's a horrifying notion that there's just trash from all over the world floating out there in these giant, I wouldn't call them islands because you can't walk on them, but these giant patches out in the Pacific Ocean. And I'm sure the Atlantic probably has its fair share too.
They exist in every ocean, and they're starting to form in the Mediterranean Sea and other smaller bodies of water. So it's becoming a larger problem than it already is, and it's quite a problem at this point.
So how do you grab it?
That's an interesting story. And without getting into too much science here, I don't want to lose anybody. It all centers around a chemical called hydrogen sulfide. If anybody's had high school chemistry, they'll remember that their chemistry professor or chemistry teacher created this really bad smelling stuff that smelled like rotten eggs. That's hydrogen sulfide. And hydrogen sulfide happens to be a very toxic and corrosive gas. So you generally don't want to have it around. So our technology originally was created for the oil and gas industry. Refineries, on average, create about 1,000 tons a day of the stuff. So the EPA wants them to eliminate it without dumping it into the air, sea, and water.
I'm with them. Yeah, that sounds good.
And as is everybody else. And fortunately for us, they have a rather old and expensive process to do that work, but our process is a lot less expensive and a lot cleaner. That's where our patented technology comes in. It was originally invented for the oil and gas refining industry to help them clean up their hydrogen sulfide.
So how's it work?
It's a relatively simple process. You heat the hydrogen sulfide and it splits into hydrogen and sulfur. And then you harvest the hydrogen and you reuse the sulfur. Very easy, very clean, very cost efficient. But then we started to think a little further and we realized that it's relatively easy to take hydrocarbon wastes and convert that into hydrogen sulfide. So if you have, let's say, plastics, used tires, wood, paper, rotting food, most of the clothing on your back, your furniture, your mattress, anything that has hydrogen in it, we can take that and convert it into hydrogen sulfide.
Did you just call wood a hydrocarbon?
Wood is a hydrocarbon. It has carbon in it and it has hydrogen in it. It's a hydrocarbon. Anything that has carbon and hydrogen is a hydrocarbon.
Got it. Okay.
So we can easily convert those hydrocarbon wastes into hydrogen sulfide. And that process, that technology has been around for decades. The patents have all expired on that technology. It's public domain. The only thing is, up until now, nobody's wanted to use that because why would anybody want to take things like plastic and wood and paper and convert it into a toxic corrosive gas?
Right, but you have a process that turns that toxic corrosive gas into something that is inert and just very common.
And valuable.
Yeah.
And actually it's valuable because the hydrogen is the wave of the future. So Mark, you're absolutely right. Now that we've come along with this patented technology, we can make a lot of hydrogen, which the whole goal for hydrogen is to create a hydrogen economy where you're using hydrogen to fuel your cars and your trains and your buses, your planes, your boats, anything else that uses fossil fuels. So once we can create enough of the hydrogen, we can supplant all of the fossil fuels.
Alan Mintzer, what was it like the day that you discovered that you can take plastics and used tires and the crap that's floating in the ocean, the things that people don't like and are all upset about, and that you could turn it into a new reusable fuel? Explain to me how you found that out and what your emotional state was like when you found it out.
We have a brilliant chemist who invented the original technology for splitting the hydrogen sulfide into the hydrogen and sulfur. We were having discussions on using that technology. And he just casually mentioned, as an aside, he said, we can turn hydrocarbon waste, just anything with hydrogen and carbon, we could turn that into hydrogen sulfide easily. And I said, you're kidding, right? He says, no, it's easy. And he didn't see it being, I don't know, maybe he's just a scientist and not the businessman. Or I don't look too deeply into it. But the point was that I'm thinking, and a few of my partners are thinking, wow, there's a lot of hydrocarbon waste out there. And when you think about it, if you think about climate change, now that's a subject that debate has both two sides to it, and people come down on either side. But when you consider that you're putting diesel particulates in the air and other pollutants in the air through cars and buses and trains and everything else, if you can eliminate that, that's one of the biggest problems we face here on Earth today.
Right, it does.
And now you're looking at this hydrocarbon waste issue, and I tend to think that might be a problem that's even worse than the issues that you face with fossil fuel use. So when we realized that, then we started looking at the numbers, and we started doing some research, and we found that one of those patches in the Pacific Ocean that you were talking about, Mark, is 77 million square miles.
And I have no concept as to how big that is. Is that Asia?
Well, I can tell you there's another patch that's equivalent in size to Europe, India, and Mexico combined.
All right. Now I got an idea.
There you go. So the idea is that these floating patches of garbage are pretty much about 75% plastic. So there are other things in there that we might be able to make use of. But when you consider plastic and the fact that it doesn't degrade well, we can easily turn that into hydrogen sulfide. And then from there, you've got clean burning hydrogen to eliminate the fossil fuels. So we realize that we can now combat the two biggest problems, or the two biggest perceived problems that face us today, and that is pollution on one side and fossil fuel use on the other. And we're doing that all at once. In fact, the more hydrogen we produce, the more waste we clean up, because our feedstock is waste, is garbage.
So when it comes to hydrogen, so I mean, people may come down different sides on this this whole global warming thing. However, let's leave that aside for a second. How cheap is the hydrogen to make in this process? And how does it compare, say, to drilling in the ground and then processing fossil fuels and making gasoline as far as cost goes? So let's leave the creation of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere out of the situation. How's it compare as far as costs go?
Well, right now, the state of California is the most progressive state at rolling out the hydrogen economy. So they're subsidizing the use of hydrogen and the creation of hydrogen, and they've got the price at about $16 a kilogram. They're hoping to get it down to $12 a kilogram. And I'll give you the conversions to gallons and dollars in a minute. But you get an idea. In California, where things are best, it's $12 to $16 a kilogram.
Okay.
The cost for us to produce hydrogen, because of our business model, and the fact that our feedstock is garbage, we can actually get the cost of our hydrogen to below zero.
Right. You're making money on it. Okay.
We're making money before we ever see the hydrogen. It's literally costs us below zero to make. So we can price the hydrogen at $4 and $5 a kilogram. So now when you talk about how does that compare to gasoline and US dollars, $4 a kilogram equates to approximately $1.75 a gallon for gasoline. $5 a kilogram equates to about $2.24 a gallon of gasoline. So we can sell the hydrogen we produce at $4 to the stations. They could mark it up, let's say $1 a kilogram, and sell it at $5 a kilogram, which is equivalent to $2.24 a gallon.
How about a car? I know that they've been talking about hydrogen running cars. How hard would it be to get this hydrogen from the pump into the car? And
it would be a very similar process to what you have now.
Okay.
There'll be a pump on every service station, and you'll pull up and you'll take you'll pay. You'll take the wand out of the pump and you'll put it into your car, and it will pump hydrogen instead of gasoline. And it'll take 3, 4, 5 minutes, just like it takes to fill up your car now. And when it's full, you'll put the hose back into the pump, and you'll close your tank, and you'll drive away.
And as far as making a vehicle that burns hydrogen, how's that compare to a normal vehicle today?
Well, think about a car having a range of, let's say, 300 to 400 miles. If you have a 6 kilogram tank in your car and it costs you $30 to fill up, you'll probably be able to drive between 400 and 600 miles.
How about cost in the buying of the car? I mean, in production of the car.
And the production of the car, probably you won't have a motor and you won't have a transmission. It'll be very much like a Tesla, as a good example, but where you have a battery pack providing electricity in a Tesla, you won't have a battery pack in a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. You'll have a hydrogen fuel cell. And when you feed hydrogen to a hydrogen fuel cell, the only thing you get from that is pure water. It's nice to have pure water coming out of the tailpipe.
What about the use of rare earth metals in the production of these cars?
Not necessary.
Alan Mintzer, Standard H2, as in a hydrogen molecule. StandardH2.com.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Portland blames the president when a man is shot dead. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. 90 days and counting of protests and violence in Portland. Mayor Ted Wheeler.
Yesterday's events began with hundreds of cars filled with supporters of the president, rallying in Clackamas County and then driving through downtown Portland. They were supported and energized by the president himself.
The caravan, as many as 600 vehicles clashing with the Black Lives Matter group, after which a man is shot and killed. The president tweeting back a response indicating more federal troops could be headed to Portland, Oregon. In-person security briefings about elections are coming to an end.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill better get their reading glasses out. The director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, says from now on, election security briefings are going to come in written form rather than in-person briefings to prevent against leaks. DNI Ratcliffe said last month details from a congressional briefing he gave were selectively